Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I am Blossom here from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos, and also same applies by the forms of the Powerpuff Girls universe. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, specifically the New Super Mario Bros. U game portion for the Nintendo Switch. So, last time we actually did completely done with the longest world in the entire game, at least as far as so far anyway, which was, you know, Soda Jungle. And today for this episode, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that we are about to be continuing exploring through, well, the next world in this game in the forms of Rock Candy Mines. So, obviously, just like before, I managed to able to complete a regular Stampede level off screen, so that way I can able to get ourselves the blue space instead of the purple space. But even then, though, we'll find things out after we actually beat the main game first. But either way, though, this time around, though, we're going to be switching between Yellow Toad now, and to begin with Rock Candy Mines-1, Fuzzy, Cliff Top. See, Venendo, I believe that we might actually come across into a lot of Fuzzies going on right there, and I believe also we might actually stumble across Yoshi. See, Venendo, that, well, it might be a good thing for able to actually just to get Yoshi to begin with. See, Venendo, I don't really know that, if we actually got Yoshi from the previous few levels, at least ever since in the forms of, Soda Jungle, which I could assuming it might not be, because either way though, I guess it's about time to able to actually use Yoshi, at least ever since in Sparkling Waters, pretty much. See, Venendo, that could mean so much. See, Venendo, as far as Star Coins department though, it might be pretty easy though, but when we get to the forms of the later levels throughout, especially noticeable in the forms of, you know, the secret exit, if you manage to unlock yourselves with, after when you complete the tower level, then, well, you know, you get the idea. And obviously, if you couldn't tell already, that this is the only world to able to actually feature not one, but two towers in one world. You know, just like in the forms, if you ever played, you know, in New Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo DS, that in that game, they did manage to able to incorporate two towers in the forms of in World 6 and especially World 8. See, Venendo, that could be same applies for this world in particular. See, Venendo, that makes it purely obvious. See, Venendo, yeah. So obviously today was actually in forms of the 16th of January in 2019. Again, I do apologize by the forms of the uploading schedules recently, just because, well, I was really hoping by the forms of able to discuss you guys about the forms of what's gonna be the what's gonna happen in the forms of the actual private events for Nintendo New York City. But still no answers yet, and as a result, it's really hard to tell because again, we don't know if it's gonna be somewhat a little bit more special about it, or in this case the Nintendo Direct, which admittedly though, it might be still a little bit far too lacking than it once it used to be. But either way, I'm just getting a little bit more almost speechless at this point, because either way, if I was going to be discussing to you guys of what's going to be happening in during time, but for some reason my news, especially noticeable by the forms of the lack of Nintendo Direct, at least ever since in November, well, technically I won't count by the forms of a fuel channel from Fire Emblem Heroes, other than just adding some new features and all that stuff, especially with the ND World, or ND Games World from Japan. Because obviously we got the majority of the ND Games titles for the Nintendo Switch in the forms of out of nowhere. See, Venendo. Yeah, because as a result, this is getting ridiculous to me, because either way, well, as long as we still got ourselves the forms of Yoshi's Woolly World, no, not Yoshi's Woolly World, Yoshi's Crafted World, I should say, and Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn. Speaking of which, do you remember I said this before in the forms of the last video, that I would originally try to able to pre-order those two until when it gets to February? Turns out, after able to quickly change my mind to able to pre-order that in during yesterday. Because of that, I just want to get this thing sorted before if Nintendo decide to able to announce something is a little bit more direct in C or something like that. But even then, I was expecting if they're going to be bringing us anything new. Well, at least as far as I can tell, that it's pretty understandable, but the forms of Luigi's Mansion 3 will be on its way well, in the forms of an E3 this year, which even then, though, that will be one obvious thing, because obviously, son of a... again, swimming controls for Toadette or Peachette, if you will, it might be pretty difficult for me, because either way, though, I, again, used to with the forms of Mario, Luigi, and, you know, Toad or what have you, but either way, though, sometimes it takes a little bit of practice, though, kind of thing about it, and some people seem to think about the forms of whatever the next Nintendo Direct is going to be at, but expecting that I've heard from some people say the fact that they're getting pretty tired of ports these days by the forms of like 3DS ports, or in this case by the forms of some games being ported over to the 3DS and some games usually ported over to the Nintendo Switch. Well, usually we've got a plethora of them so far by the forms of like, you know, this game in particular, and especially with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which I found is a little bit more of the improvement over the Wii U version, but hey, at least it still usually counts as a Wii U port of the game, but with the improvement, much better battle mode and all that stuff, and especially noticeable with the improvement load times and everything, and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which we still managed to have, and Pokken Tournament DX, which we've already have, and especially noticeable by the forms of I would say by the forms of Captain Toad Treasure Tracker as far as I'm concerned with this, which either way, I don't really mind about the Switch version by the fact that with the forms of the much more better controls to me compared to the forms of the Wii. Well, nothing too horrible by the forms of the Wii U gamepad though, but whenever I do like very difficult levels and all that stuff, sometimes I have to go for the forms of multitude of switching between, you know, the control stick or control pad or whatever, and especially noticeable by the forms of keep using the stylus all the time, so that way I can able to stop the enemies from getting me. See, Fernando, that might be the only difficult task, because that's the reason why I didn't complete the main final level in the forms of in Captain Toad Treasure Tracker so far, just because, well, I just found that to be pretty difficult with the Wii U gamepad, and that could be applied for the 3DS version as well, I think. But at least in the Switch version, at least in that version of the game, did manage to able to actually incorporate the forms of the pointer sensor system, which either way, that way you can able to temporarily freeze enemies during time, but you have to hold down the button in order to actually just to do that. So that's as far as memories goes, that's all I can say about it. So anyways, let's move on to the next level, and I'm going to be switching to Mario because this level might actually contain not one, but two exits. Even then though, let's get into this, shall we? So even then though, I've seems to still got the Flying Squirrel power-up for Mario, so Grinding Stone Tower. And it seems like the majority of the star coins is going to be most accurately focusing on the mini mushroom, and luckily for you, that if you're watching this Let's Play for right about now, if you haven't owned the Wii U version of the game, there's a mini mushroom just right down here. See, Fernando, but the ultimate challenge for me, though, is the fact that you have to make your way to the very end of a level with the forms of the mini mushroom. Even if you really want to get every single star coins of this level, well, good luck for that, because either way though, again, if you get hit by the forms of these grolls, which is essentially how these enemies are known as, basically we need to able to, if you get hit by those, you'll instantly kill yourself, so you have to stay sharp on that. So there's a second star coin. Really? Okay, I probably should able to not do that because I accidentally just managed to press the A button, or the B button I should say, to able to ignore the second star coin. Oh, Jesus Christ. I just felt very bad for myself to able to miss that star coin earlier, so yeah, technically speaking for this point, folks, we actually did miss out on 2 star coins for this point, guys. I mean, that's just wonderful. I mean, either way though, that could be a little bit more of a potentials because, well, I just don't know why, because either way though, I first of all, I was trying to able to get that star coin in mind, but I just have no idea, I just completely bypassing it completely. And the reason why I decided able to go for this level as Mario, not Nabbit, because as you expected, Nabbit cannot, you know, actually access to those power-ups or anything like that. So, and because of this though, the reason why I'm switching between Mario from that is because I'm gonna go for a secret exit first, because I really can't afford to able to deal with Boom Boom for now, because obviously if I deal with that battle with the forms of Boom Boom with the mini mushroom, well, he'll be very unbeatable, I'm gonna tell you that right about now. So anyways though, let's go ahead and just dodge those little grolls here, so just in case if we don't die by complete accident, and grab these coins at the same time, including the forms of the next star coin, or in this case the third star coin, that's what it says on this little you know, these little outlines and all that stuff, but for some reason we accidentally skipped over this second star coin by mistake because of, I don't know if I actually done that on the Wii U version of the game, but I'm pretty sure that Chip and Sylvester didn't do that on the Wii U version, so that would be my fault then. So there we go, that's the secret exit done, even though, again, technically you've already beaten down Boom Boom, but usually speaking, we didn't beat the crap out of him or anything like that. So even though, with that being said, I think we should be able to actually go back to this level for the final time and able to deal out with not only by the forms of the third and the final star coin, but also by the forms of dealing out with Boom Boom for the final time in New Super Mario Bros. U. Well, at least when we get to New Super Luigi U, that is, so... But either way, though, that could be something else for that part, so... But again, Nabbits can get hit by the forms of these little growls, because they obviously becomes like spikes and all that stuff. But the only thing, again, you need to worry about is the forms of the knockback occurrence, which, either way, think of like Simon Belmont by the forms of like in some Castlevania games, or Richter Belmont by the forms of Rondo of Blood in the original TurboGrafx 16 game or the PC Engine. Basically, if you get hit by certain enemies and all that stuff, your knockback will able to actually just be incurrent, which either way, that could mean so much, especially because of how the fact that if you really can't afford to fall off the level or anything like that, even when you're trying to deal out with the boss battle and stuff like that, well, you just have to stay sharp and be very cautious at the same time. So even then though, that makes a little bit more of a difference. Alright, so we're now entering the actual red door, and there we can able to actually deal with the Boom Boom for the final time here for this Mario's adventure, because when we get to Luigi's adventure, it might be exactly identical to the forms of the Mario's version. So, and as you can see, Boom Boom now got himself his wings, and I did not even notice, but if you get hit by Boom Boom while you're trying to able to land on its head, it doesn't seem to able to count to able to actually get hit on him. So even then, though, that can mean, I don't know about you, it's kind of a little bit random though, but I digress. See, about the forms of the pre-ordered both items actually, by the forms of both Yoshi's Crafted World, and especially notable with Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn for the 3DS, because the reason why I decided to pre-order those two for about just yesterday is because I really don't know if they're going to be announced something new throughout at this point, other than, although recently, but the fact that, well, despite the fact that we've only got 2 more days left until the next Nintendo Switch game is going to be released, by the forms of the Traverse Strikes Again, No More Heroes, which, from what I've heard from the reviews of that game so far, is actually between positive and mixed at the same time, because, well, obviously that game is remarkably different from the forms of No More Heroes 1 and 2. I've heard about the series, but I haven't really exactly played those, just because, well, it wasn't really appropriate for that age that time, but back whenever, you know, No More Heroes 1 and 2 was first released on the Nintendo Wii, so I've decided able to actually stuck with the forms of just Mario and Zelda stuff, and you name the rest, and, you know, it can be a little bit more different this time by the forms of Traverse Strikes Again or Strikes Back or something like that. I can't really pronounce what that game is called because I know for the fact that it's been a very long time since I was trying to able to actually just to look up on No More Heroes series and stuff. So either way though, that means something else. So anyways, let's be very quick here, and there we go, because that way we can get ourselves my second star coin plus the checkpoint here. And obviously the third and final star coin is going to be on this particular moving platforming section right there. So even though not too complicated and not that difficult either, so even though that could mean so much of it. So another thing is one of pointing out right away is the fact that I've decided to actually just order myself the physical cartridge only version of Paper Mario, because I don't know why I decided to do that. It's probably because I was expecting if the Paper Mario game will get it on the Nintendo Switch. I'm hoping it won't be a port to the forms of Color Splash, because they need to be something a little bit more different than that, because if it's that, then I'll be very disappointed, because either way, nothing too bad about the forms of Color Splash, honestly. Still, my least favorite Paper Mario game in the series will have to be Sticker Star for the 3DS, just because, well, I just found the story to be a little bit more same story over and over again when it comes to the comparison to the forms of those Mario series nowadays, because, you know, you're just being kidnapped by, once again, Bowser, and you know the rest, and it doesn't really help. Well, besides the Crystal, which might be the only interesting new character that was originated from Sticker Star, but apart from that though, that game is so lacking with originality, at least for me anyway, and also I really despise the battle system, because unlike, you know, Paper Mario for the N64 and the Thousand Year Door, which is probably one of my favorite Paper Mario series even to this day. And they did have the partner system, which either way, despite the fact that the first game in the series does have a little bit of a lacking with the forms of like the limitations of the actual partners, because normally the partners in the forms of the original Paper Mario game for the N64 doesn't allow you to able to use items, whilst in the forms of the Thousand Year Door does, which either way, I'm more concerned about how the fact that most people seem to think the Thousand Year Door is the best game in the series, which is pretty understandable, because either way though, that yeah, I'm really hoping if the Thousand Year Door will get re-released on the Nintendo Switch so that I can play that on the go, plus by the forms of a fantastic HD visuals and all that stuff, which that would be my dream come true, which either way, that would potentially try to make it itself, but obviously the problem is though, is the fact that Nintendo Direct hasn't been answered yet, but either way though, I don't know why I'm feeling so negative at this rate, but because of that though, I hate to say this for this point, folks, but I'm kind of get bored by the forms of like not much else for details-wise. Which either way, sure, I can still play games. Don't get me wrong, especially noticeable by the forms of the upcoming releases of you know, Mario Luigi Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey. By the way, what if I get Bowser's Inside Story on the 3DS? I'm actually going to be playing the actual Bowser's Inside Story mode, because I was a little bit more, you know, skeptical when it comes to Bowser Jr.'s Journey mode, because either way, it plays exactly like, you know, in Bowser's Minions mode from Superstar Saga game, but I think I'm actually going to be able to able to complete that at some point. But either way though, sometimes it doesn't seem to able to fix as many of the problems I have with the forms of you know, Bowser's Minions. Even though the game wasn't out yet in our country at the moment, in the UK, but I definitely know in the forms of the North Americans release, did manage to able to mention about that. So even then, that's as far as I can go. And plus, I think there's also another reason, as one of pointing out, is the fact that I can definitely see why. Now, the fact they did manage to skip over by the forms of a remake of Partners in Time skipping. Because of that, though, I don't think Partners in Time sold as well compared to the forms of Bowser's Inside Story for the Nintendo DS, as far as I'm concerned. Well, mind you, we have Partners in Time by the forms of the Wii U download game, but not so much for Bowser's Inside Story for some reason. I think it's pretty obvious because of the Wii U is pretty much dead. So even then, that could be so much of it. So, speaking of such, but when it comes to like the Paper Mario, the original cartridge-only version of that game, what I did manage to order, I found it for very cheap actually. Sure, it's ridiculously rare in our country in UK. I think the reason why it's gone pretty damn expensive, next to buddy forms of Mario Party 3, this is mainly because of the GameCube is on its way. So I think, you know, that was back in 2001, that is. But at least in Japan's version, they did manage to able to get that game in common, which either way, also known as the new forms of Paper Mario in Japan, it calls it Mario Story, which either way, unlike the new forms of Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door in Japan, it decided to call it Paper Mario RPG. See, Fernando, because of that, you know. So yeah, you get the idea at this point, and even then though, speaking of Paper Mario for the N64 as well, oh jeez, I haven't been onto that game for almost donkey's years. Well, because of that, I usually just mainly focusing on any other titles at this rate, especially because of how the fact that, well, I just cannot believe it's been about 10 years since actually last time I've brought the game on the Nintendo Wii's virtual console at the time, which either way, I was very miracle about it, because either way though, I haven't really played the original Paper Mario released ever since. Well, the only first Paper Mario game I've discovered is the Thousand Year Door, because I know some people seem to love it. Oh, no. Oh, I was too late. Yeah, I was too late, so, whoops. Okay, let's try this again. So, anyway, my first ever Paper Mario game I've usually played back in the day was just the forms of, Super Paper Mario from the Nintendo Wii, because not only by the forms of the actual Paper Mario series I was most likely familiar with, but it's also because it was actually a 2D platformer, but with the RPG elements of twist here. See, Fernando, like, the score system acts like the experience points of that. So, yeah, you get the idea. So, okay, so let's go ahead and grab the Starman. No! Oh, shoot. I just get a horrible feeling because I don't think you can able to actually do this without the Starman, because either way, you know how the fact that in the third and final star coin is going to be at the very end of a level, that's usually it's going to come up. But guess what? We have to go through these little munchers, but of course with the lack of Starman invincibility power up, well, there's not much we can do other than, well, you know, it might be not possible to make your way out, because either way though, you'll be dead straight away, so I'll meet you guys back. Come on, grab it. Thank you. Okay. Now, you need to make yourselves on this portion very, very fast and quick, because if you manage to slow things down, then you're probably not going to make it, which either way, thankfully though, I managed to make it. See, Fernando, definitely a little bit trickier when it comes to the actual star coins in this level in general, which, as far as I've noticed, is that Chip and Sylvester did manage to done this level no problem when it comes to getting this star coin, which, unlike me, that I seem to able to have some bit of trouble sometimes. But again, because of I haven't been on this installment of the game for quite such a long time. So anyways, let's finish off the main level as normal. And let's just move on to the next. See, Fernando, that way we could able to generally just, you know, get things over with. Well, you know, nothing too major about it, but either way, that's just how I think it is, so. But at least it took me about, like, I would say 3 attempts on that level, so even then though, that because of death situations and all that stuff, so. As I was expecting if I was going to be doing a no-death run on this world, but just like in any other worlds at this rate, I just keep on dying and dying and dying all the goddamn time. Is it just me? Oh, jeez. Anyways, let's go and move on to the forms of walking piranha plants in Rock Candy Mines 5. So, as to be expected, there's going to be one exit, but the forms of the normal exit, and the second exit is going to be here somewhere. So even then though, obviously I'm going after the secret exit first, so either way though, I'm also able to concentrate on that first, so, you know, quote-unquote for that. And, for this run, especially because, as you can see, I'm playing as Nabbit on this level, I don't really think I can able to go after those star coins just yet, because, obviously, I'll save that, but if I switch back to Mario, so even then, though, that way it could able to become a plan, so even then, though, that way it could able to work out as it used to be, so even then, yeah. And I believe the secret exit on this level is going to be just right here, right after the forms of the actual chain rope. So even then, once you enter that red pipe you go, or in this case a green pipe I should say, and that way just be very careful of those balancing stones or rocks if you want to call it them, and you reach to the forms of the secret exit. So there you go. But again, you can't really get items if you get the digit numbers with Nabbit though, because again, only Mario and Luigi and 2 colored Toads and Toadette can able to get to this. So, in this way, it'll lead you to the Switch. See, Fernando, that way it could be very handy, especially because of the later portion of the game. We might actually just realize that one of the star coins will actually be required with this kind of stuff. But we'll get to that as soon as we get to the very end of the world. And obviously I'm switching back to Mario now and replay this level again, but this time we'll go for the normal exit now. So, oh really? That was a terrific start. See, this is what I mean when it comes to like the mid-air spin maps to the same button as the jump button, which either way though, I really do not like that specific addition right here, because either way, that again, if you really went up in mid-air, and then if you really want to able to actually get yourselves your momentum going, well, obviously the triggers themselves are fine enough, but when it comes to dealing with the forms of the actual mid-air spin, mapped to the same button as the jump button by complete accident and stuff, that just really ticks me off most of the time on this version of the game, because even then though, it can lead you to some trial and errors, and especially noticeable by the forms of like some, you know, plentiful of lives draining, which either way though, that could be summarized as a, I don't know, a bad thing, mind you, but either way though, that's just my only nitpicking with this version. But hey, at least this version does still manage to becomes playable, but it's just one technical thing that the forms of the original version didn't have, which is, you know, the spin jump, hovering, or anything like that will map to the same button as the jump button when you're in midair. So even then though that, you know, it really does seem to bother me sometimes. But anyways, let's get these old buttons here of blue coins, which not only gives me, I would say 2 extra lives for that little gliding syndrome right there, But I believe we actually get ourselves our midway checkpoint right there, so hopefully we'll grab that, and let's get on moving. So, of course, the third and final star coin is right down there, but again, it requires a flying squirrel power-up until you're able to reach there, so there you go. Of course, that spin mid-air jump, or in this case, the actual mid-air spin, almost attempts to screw me up, but either way, let's just go in. I feel like an idiot. I just let Goomba just trying to hit me. Although the reason why I decided able to just get hit right there is just because I was waiting I can able to perform some Starman chain reactions when it comes to extra lives for Mario, so that is entirely my fault as well, so... But oh well, who knows, because we're actually done with the main level itself, so... Alright, so we are practically almost nearly towards the end of Rock Candy Mines. See, even then though, obviously the actual world's gimmick is obviously we need to constantly switch between those switches, both the red and the blue switches, and every time you activate one of the switches, then you're able to actually create one of those little blocks, movement directions, which either way, it can lead you to the forms of somewhere secrecy, and oftentimes the actual toad houses, which for some reason, I just attempt to ignore those toad houses in this world though, until when we get to the forms of moraine clouds, especially noticeable in World 7, but either way though, we'll get to that in the next video, so even then though, here we go, onto Screw Top Tower, which either way, obviously you know how this gimmick works, is obviously we need to use those little screw tops, so even then though, if you really want to get your platforming moving, well, just simply spin onto the forms of the screw top, and then that's all you have to really do with this level's gimmick. So either way though, that's as far as I can usually say about this here, so, oh really, do I have to dodge all of these bony beetles here? Okay, alright, just be very careful, and boom! Not to mention we've only got ourselves a 1-up right there, so that's pretty nice. And, yeah, I think that's all I can really think about for the time, so either way, let's just go ahead and climb all the way up. Of course, you need to watch out for is the forms of course, the fire bars, because either way though, every nowadays, they usually decide to rotate every once in a while, so either way, that could be in so much of it. Talk about that tradition is the fact that speaking of Kingdom Hearts 3, tomorrow, well, before we get to the forms of Moraine Clouds video tomorrow, that another new trailer of Kingdom Hearts 3 will be releasing tomorrow, which either way, still really pumped for that, and let me tell you at this point folks, I was able to actually save Kingdom Hearts 3 as far as the actual Let's Play of the game until whenever that day decides to come. But I'm actually going to be honest with you, is the fact that I'm going to be playing that game on day 1 straight away, which either way, because I'm really damn excited for that game after playing Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2, which is essentially one of my favorites of the Kingdom Hearts games actually, especially with the Final Mix version on the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4 version, which either way, currently still on the PlayStation 3 version at the moment, but I haven't really touched upon the PlayStation 4 version quite yet, just because I figure I'm actually going to do that Let's Play after when Sonic managed to finish up with the forms of, you know, Kingdom Hearts Final Mix Let's Play, even though it might take a really long time, but expecting it will be there until 2020, or at some point in 2019, if depends of how much lengthy it was when it comes to Kingdom Hearts 1 itself. So even then though, who knows, we're able to find out. Especially with the forms of the most current Let's Plays we are still concentrating on, like, for instance, that Duffy needs to still get back into the forms of Pac-Man World for the PlayStation, which, so far, I haven't really heard from Daffy yet, because I have no idea where he's been, because after we did done, you know, the Mega Man Marathon by the forms of about almost a year ago, and there's still no sign of him, which either way, I need to keep searching for him to able to actually get back into Pac-Man World 1, before he jump into the forms of Pac-Man World 2, that is, for the PlayStation 2/Nintendo GameCube, which either way, yeah. Alright, so here we go folks, this is the forms of the actual, somewhat of a boss fight by the forms of a Sumo Bro here, and wow, that was really pathetic for that little department right there. Can I possibly make it through here? Oh no, I was too late, I was too late. Wow, he really kicked my butts today, even though despite the fact that I haven't really touched upon this boss fight for a really ridiculous amount of time. I guess doing that, if you wait for about 5 seconds or something, you would let the Sumo Bro decide to get back up. So even though that might be the only tricky part, but the trickiest part about this boss fight to me is the forms of what spot he was going to be at. But obviously, his weak spot is obviously you have to be able to knock him from above from the platform, or in this case, underneath from the platform, and then you would able to actually stomp onto his stomach, which either way, that will pretty much the forms of the Sumo Bro, in this case, the bigger variation of Sumo Bro here. So, obviously, you know how Sumo Bros are, basically much like in Super Mario World. Every time they use one of their foot, they'll actually create a little bit of a shocking department right there, which either way, that way you could able to actually just, you know, hurt you with that stuff. Alright, so there's another Nabbit chase sequence, and seems we're pretty much almost nearly towards the end of the Nabbit chase sequence. Even then though, let's go and switch back to now in Yellow Toad, and before he gets the forms of Rock Candy Mines -7, we were able to actually chase after Nabbit first. Even though, despite the fact that we actually complete the level first with Nabbit after all, but either way though, that's as far as I can say. And it seems, speaking of which, I don't think we've actually come across the forms of one of those purple spaces so far, well at least only one time by the forms of, you know, walking piranha plants, and that's pretty much about it. But aside from that, I don't think we can able to actually replay those levels again on off-screen, I think, because either way, I think we're pretty much sorted for now, because either way, yeah, that's as far as I can usually go for this part, for this point anyway. So that Nabbit chase sequence can get pretty tricky at times because of the forms of the, you know, some giant leaps of bottomless pits you have to go through, and because of that though, with the moving platforms is also involved, well, you got to be paying attention to the forms of the actual footing and stuff, so even then, that's pretty much it. I believe when we get to the final, or in this case, World 7, I believe we might actually come across into a final Catching Nabbit stage, which either way, it might actually go like summed up as like this. You go through Worlds 1 through 7 when it comes to chasing the Nabbit, and if you caught Nabbits between Worlds 1 through 7, then it goes all the way back to the forms of World 1 and then, you know, World 7 and vice versa. Alright, so here we go with the forms of this level. So this level can get pretty difficult for only one simple reason, and you guys should know what I'm talking about if you remember watching our Let's Play of the forms of New Super Mario Bros. U on the original Nintendo Wii U, that you know exactly what I'm going to talk about, and that will be two words: Star Coins. Now, the first two wasn't so bad, but it might be kind of confusing at times whenever if you have, like, if you ever haven't played this game for quite some time, myself included, that I seem to do not know of where the actual alt curve is actually going to be. But I definitely know it's going to be at somewhere by the forms of, whoa! Whoa, that was really close. I almost fell off and died then. But either way though, that you have to keep on standing onto those little shifting blocks, specifically the ones on the middle, because sometimes it actually leads you to the actual alt curve to able to actually feature one of the star coins. Well, at least the first one is pretty simple and easy. But when it comes to the second star coin, and don't get me started on the third and the freaking final star coin, because you have to acquire the Koopa shell in order to actually just get to it. And even then, believe me, it will take me a lot of tries to do this. And I know some people seem to have a lot of trouble with this though too. Well, I don't know if Nabbits were able to break through this level, but either way though, I just don't really seem to know of what is going to happen for this stuff. So, anyways, let's toss this little red shell to these little spiny beetles there, in case if we're about to get our 1-up. Well, we didn't get a 1-up sadly, but we did actually get ourselves a 1-up due to coins collecting, which either way, that makes it seems a little bit true here. So, don't know what's in here though. Oh, let me double check. I believe, yeah, that did hurt me when it comes to, like, almost getting crushed all of a sudden, which either way, if it crushes completely, then you would able to actually die immediately, so that can mean so much of it though, so. Alright, so I'm guessing it might actually be, I think it's somewhere up there, so even then though, because I just recognized that coins was actually up there, so yeah, it was definitely up there. Sometimes the second star coin to me can get confusing at times because of if you really don't know of what the actual entrance of this hidden alcove is going to be at, but once you figure it out, then you would able to get yourselves your second star coin. But the third and final star coin, as I said this before, you need to acquire a Koopa freaking shell, and I believe you only have like 2 attempts for doing this, which If true, then it makes me feel like a little bit nerve-wracking at points. Especially don't get me started by these stupid enemies they actually try to force you to deal with, like swoop bats and piranha. And if you wait for that Koopa shell to awaken for too long, obviously that the Koopa Trooper will start to get back up. So even then though, I think I would suggest you're able to actually still dealing out with these swoop bats first, before anything else will able to be pretty bad for this point. Whoa! Whoa! Jeez, that was close. And conveniently enough, I actually done it for the first try. So even then though, I don't know about the forms of the Wii U version of that Let's Play though, because either way though, I might as well able to look that up. Well, as soon as I'm able to try to mention about that when we get to the next world. So even then I was wanting to point things out. So yeah, I guess again, it's not much else I could really say, apart from the fact that, well, you know, lacking with news and updates and everything like that, so I must confess, I do apologize by the forms of the actual, like, no new announcements and all that stuff, other than the fact that, well, you know how recently that, Driver Strikes Back on, No More Heroes game just recently released, in North America today or something, and, 2 days, well, I don't know about that, but either way though, because again, I haven't really looked upon No More Heroes games at least ever since, and why do I do that? I think I'm a little bit too hasty at this point today, folks, because I just don't know why. I keep on doing some speedrun tactics and all that stuff, but for whatever reason, I just keep on dying and dying and dying all over and over and over again. Oh, jeez. I have no idea what's wrong with me today. But anyway, now onto the forms of Roy's Conveyor Castle, which, either way, we're about to be doing with the Conveyor Belt, obviously, so... And we start the level off with the forms of 600 seconds, so either way though, because again, plain as Nabbit or Toadette / Peachette, if you really want to be more precise, you get 100 additional seconds, so either way. Especially because of how the fact that when it gets to New Super Luigi U, it would totally break the challenge or anything like that, so either way, that could be so much of it though, so... And as you can see, I keep on getting hit by enemies because either way though, I'm pretty sure trying to speed run things for this point is a really dumb idea, or in this case a, you know, a bad idea as far as I'm concerned, because, you know I mentioned this before about the fact that this version of the game is pretty lacking with Miiverse this time around, because obviously the service has been completely shut down for about, I would say by default, about, a year and 2 months now. And as a result of that kinds of stuff, you're no longer gonna have to see, like, notifications. Oh, that's pretty rare. We got free Moon Up. Sounds convenient. Just like the ones how it does in Super Mario World, you get yourselves 3 Moon Ups. And the thing is about the 3 Moon Ups though, is the fact that Toadette is the only one that she can only get to it, whilst the forms of Mario and Luigi and Toad doesn't. Because either way though, I'm guessing because... You know, the reason why, because of how the fact that because Toadette is actually the easy mode. And then, I believe Nabbit was the very easy mode, I'm gonna admit it for that. Whereas the forms of Mario, Luigi, and Toad are considerably the norm. So either way though, that could mean so much of it though. And as you can see, we missed out on the 3rd star coin, but that's okay, because we're about to be replaying that level twice, because either way though, there's actually another route that we can take. But obviously I'll save that whenever I select Nabbit on this level after doing that with Roy Cooper first. So either way though, that's, yeah. Alright, so here we go with the forms of Roy Cooper. In this case, Koopaling Battle number 6. So even then, just like before in the forms of New Super Mario Bros. U, that we need to able to actually step onto one of those little floating platforms, as you can see. And then, obviously, just like before in every single Koopaling fight, we have to just basically do the same thing. Which I kind of wish if they have more variety into them, or in this case, it lacks spectacle, which I mean, how the fact that I kind of wish there's more to it. And I do apologize by the forms of some jump cuts every once in a while. Well, not for the video footage itself, but most accurately on my commentary, because once again, my microphone has gone pretty sluggish today, which as a result, it keeps on like messing up with my quality, or in this case my voice quality and stuff. I'm kind of professional here, but it's just that for some stupid reason is that my microphone has gone pretty crap, which either way though, that could be summarized for that such. So there goes Roy Cooper, but of course we need to refight against him one last time in the forms of this particular rendition of New Super Mario Bros. U. And not to mention, we need to get ourselves the third and the final star coin before the Rock Candy Mines is fully completed. See, Fernando, let's go and switch back to Nabbit now, and just go back through the back door of the Forms of Roy's Convado Castle, which either way, just like in Super Mario World, it actually takes you to the forms of a different section of the castle itself. But either way though, that just can be saying much. So I guess there might be a final thing I just want to discuss, is the fact that recently in Nintendo of North America, they did manage to able to announce there's going to be another 3 Nintendo Selects editions on the Nintendo 3DS lineup, which this time around though we have Star Fox 64 3D, which I'm pretty sure in the PAL version already has that, and Super Mario Maker for the Nintendo 3DS, which also the UK version also has that as well. And finally, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask 3D, which even then, yeah, kind of surprising about that, but either way though, there's no point for me to able to actually get those versions, because I'm pretty sure I've already got those basically. So either way though, still enjoyed the actual, you know, 3 games overall, but the thing is this time around though for me is that I haven't really played the 3DS as much compared to the most recent console ever, which is of course Nintendo Switch, because want to try things, something new throughout at this point. But either way though, that's as far as I can say about it. So yeah, that's all I can say. See, Fernando, because of that though, I think that's all I can say when it comes to like news and updates and everything like that. But sadly, still no sign of Nintendo Direct, even though we keep on saying that for the majority of our channel recently, because either way, I know you guys are clearly saying about the fact that you're gonna be like, well, I'm gonna be sick of the forms of gonna be keep on saying that, because either way though, it's pretty hard to predict if it's gonna be true or not, which either way though, you know, you get the idea with the solution. So, there we go, folks. We have actually done with everything in Rock Candy Mines. See, Fernando, and Will pretty much does it for Roy Cooper. See, Fernando, yeah, that's what it does if you select Nabbit, if you get all the star coins in this world. So, either way, and we're no longer going to have to deal with Boom Boom for the later worlds, because every nowadays, we're now going to be fighting against with Kamek instead. See, Fernando, onto Moraine Clouds. So, yeah, I guess I'll end things off at this point right there, so I do apologize by default, my voice is going a little bit loud because, again, my microphone is pretty stupid today. So, next time of our Let's Play of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is that we're going to be hit on to the 7th world in the game, Moraine Clouds. So, see you guys next time. Later, fellas.